All right, students, it's Mr. Torres again. We have just finished talking about the enjambment in the 7 p.m. section of Half Hanged Mary, and then also the 8 p.m. section of Half Hanged Mary. If you didn't get a chance to, be in class and kind of understand what we were talking about in class as far as the device of enjambment and how it creates meaning, then I encourage you to look at the previous two videos on the subject. I'll make sure and have those, noted for you in Canvas, okay? So we talked about, again, enjambment in the 7 p.m. section and in the 8 p.m. section. We talked about how in the 7 p.m. section, the pieces of the sentences are very, very fragmented, very broken. Okay, we have a piece of the sentence here, we have a piece of the sentence here. And these broken thoughts, these half thoughts, these not fully formed thoughts happen because Mary is in a state of chaos. People have just broken into her barn and are beating and torturing her. And in the state of chaos, it is a very confusing moment. She is trying to think or figure out what is happening to her. And when you try to think and figure out what is happening to you, the facts and the thoughts, they come in piece by piece, okay, as you are trying to process that information. So that's what we talked about in the 7 p.m. section. And then in the 8 p.m. section, we noticed that 1 hour has gone by. And over the passing of time, Mary becomes more aware of what is happening as time goes on. Okay, so over the passing of an hour, Mary starts to realize what is happening. And as she starts to realize what is happening and get a more complete idea of what is happening to her, we see her thoughts become more complete. Okay, so here we have a complete sentence, which represents a complete thought. Here we have a complete sentence, which represents a complete thought. And then after that, we have complex sentences. So we have a complete thought followed up by an incomplete thought. But compared to the 7 p.m. section, we still have enjambment. We still have sentences broken up into multiple lines. Okay, however, they are more complete. Okay, and in the last video, we talked about how the increase in completeness of Mary's sentences mimics the increased understanding that she has over the passing of the hour, which serves to emphasize the realization that Mary gains through the hour about what is actually happening to her. So at first, it's a bunch of chaos, and she has no idea what's going on. But then as time passes, she starts to realize what's going on. So that's why we have a more complete, that's why we have more complete thoughts in the 8 p.m. section. Okay. So yeah, that's what the last two videos were about. I want to turn your attention to the 3 a.m. section. So we're actually going to fast forward through the poem quite a bit. Okay. And we're going to go to the 3 a.m. section. All right. And in the 3 a.m. section, understand that the whole thing starts, the whole ordeal starts at 7 p.m. Okay, and now we are at 3 a.m. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 8 hours has passed. Okay, and Mary has been hanging here. Okay, she has been hanging here for 8 hours. Okay, she's hanging with a rope around her neck. Okay, and so in the 3 a.m. section, if you look at this section and you look at the syntax or the sentence construction, you should notice that there's not really any complete sentences here. Okay, we have no punctuation. So no complete sentences. And remember, complete sentences are made up of complete thoughts. So we have no complete thoughts. Okay, so in this whole 3 a.m. section, we don't have any complete sentences. We don't have any complete thoughts. Okay, and I want you to think about why that might be. Okay, it's been, again, think about it being 8 hours passing with a rope around Mary's neck, and she's hanging there for 8 hours. Okay. And, just think about what is physically happening to Mary as the rope tightens around her neck. Okay, so what physically happens to her as the rope tightens around her neck? I want you to think about that. It's a little bit, I guess, more scientific than we usually get in English class. But just think about if a rope was around your neck for a very long time, physically, what would happen to you? Okay. Now I want you to think about the thoughts in this 3 a.m. section. Okay, so I'm going to read this section to you, or do my best to read it to you. And I'm going to read it in one breath. And the reason that I'm going to read it in one breath is because there's no punctuation. And punctuation tells you where to pause and where to stop, right? And if there's no punctuation, then that means you don't pause or you don't stop anywhere, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and try to read this to you in one breath, and we'll just see how far I go. And I'm going to use my laser pointer to kind of keep you along, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Wind seethes in the leaves around me. The tree exude night. Birds yell inside my ears like stabbed hearts. My heart stutters in my fluttering cloth. Body dangle I with the strength going out of me. The wind sees in my body tattering. The words I clench. My fists hold no talisman over silver disc. My lungs flail as if I can't do it, y'all. Okay, so I got to here. All right. And I want you to think, okay, as I read that, as you read this section aloud, in one breath, you run out of breath. Okay? So how does this connect to what is happening to Mary? Okay? What is the connection here? Okay, and the reason that this is important, the reading aloud part, is because this is poetry, and poetry is meant to be read aloud. Okay, thinking this doesn't really do it justice. Also remember that when you think, like if you read this silently, this section, the 3 a.m. section, I'm sure you will realize that these are very confusing thoughts. Okay, so here I'm just gonna put a note at the end. Very confusing thoughts. Why? Okay. So when you start to make meaning out of it, when you start to develop connection between these two ideas, the fact that as you read aloud, you run out of breath, and when you try to connect it to what is physically happening to Mary as the rope tightens around her neck, I want you to think about the meaning there. Why did Margaret Atwood write this passage or this stanza in this way? Okay. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to think about that. Okay. Work with it. It'll be a battle, but it's good to battle. All right. And then you're going to use this section here to write down your ideas. Okay, so we're going to be in the 3 a.m. section. We're still looking at enjambment. However, we do have sentence fragments. And confusing thoughts. And in writing, when something is written in a confusing way, we call it incoherent. Incoherent thoughts. Incoherent meaning we just can't understand it. Okay. And then here in the example, this is a long stanza. Okay. I want to discuss the entire stanza, but I don't want to write the entire stanza. So what I'm going to do just for the purposes of this is I'm just going to put C poem, okay? So this will tell me just go to the 3 a.m. section, and it's actually telling you because you're the one who's going to be looking at this later. So see the poem, look at the 3 a.m. section, and then use that model that has been provided to you. And you can also use these two as well, okay? Because we worked through these two together. So think about what the enjambment, the sentence fragments, and the incoherent thoughts represent, okay? And I'll even start for you. So the enjambed, comma, incomplete, comma, and incoherent thoughts function to represent what, okay? And so you are going to be on your own. What does it represent for Mary? What is she physically going through? Okay. And then we will add on which serves to emphasize blank, okay? So what does this all mean? What's the so what here? Okay, so again, use this model as your example, okay? Use that as your mentor. And then we have multiple examples here. So we have this one here, we have this example here. So just do your best to get that, okay? And if you have any other questions about the 3 a.m. section and what it represents for Mary physically, then come see me in class, and I'd love to be able to talk to you about that. Okay, I hope that you found this video and the other two videos helpful. Again, syntax is a very, very difficult thing for a lot of people to understand. However, it just takes time, and the more you work with it, the better that you will get at it. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Be glad to help you.